resources, inspiring interviews, business practices, and practical advice to take your art career to the next level. Join Sergio Gomez in today's Artist Next Level and get ready to take control of your career.
Well, hello, my next level friends. Sergio Gomez here, and I want to welcome you to a brand new episode of the Artist Next Level podcast. Well, today I want to share with you an interview conversation that I had with Justin Antony just a couple days ago. Justin is the co-founder of Artwork Archive. Now, if you don't know what Artwork Archive is, well, let me tell you. Artwork Archive provides artists like you and me, and also collectors from around the world with the most accessible, intuitive, and powerful way to manage your artwork and your art inventory. It provides all kinds of tools and powerful features that are really helping artists really manage their art career, helping you save time that then you can spend in your studio. So definitely you don't want to miss this conversation. Maybe you already have Artwork Archive. Maybe you are already a subscriber to their services. However, this episode will still give you some great insights of what's coming. We go right into some new features that are pretty exciting that are coming up in the pipeline. So definitely you don't want to miss this episode. It's also one that if you find it valuable, share it with a friend. I'm sure they will also find things that they can also use in their own art career. Before I go right into the episode, which I want to do right away into this interview, I also want to tell you a little bit about a brand new podcast that is coming up very soon here in iTunes and Google Play as well. It's called the Sergio Gomez Art Talk, and pretty much what it is an audio blog. I will not be doing interviews. I will be mostly sharing insights from the perspective of an artist now with many exhibitions, both local, national and international as well as my curatorial projects and gallery owner and the creative entrepreneurial things that I do as well and various kinds of things. So it's definitely a podcast you want to check it out. Again, coming pretty soon. In the meantime, you can download it with the app that's called Anchor, Anchor.fm, Anchor. Anchor.fm is already available. The podcast few first episodes are already there. Check them out and share them with your friends as well. Now, simultaneously, this particular podcast, the Artist Next Level, will continue to will continue to provide you with amazing information, amazing interviews, so you don't want to leave this one behind. This is just another one that is kind of a short insights throughout the week that will help you grow your art career as well. So I'll remind you as that becomes available here in iTunes and at Google Play. So I don't want to hold you any longer. Let's go into my interview with Justin Antony. Hi, Justin. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. How are you?
I am doing great. Are you ready to take us to the next level?
I am definitely ready to take you to the next level. Or at least we'll try. At least we'll try my hardest.
I'm sure it will be easy because you guys have a great product we're going to talk about today, which is called Artwork Archive. And I'm super stoked, super excited that you are here in this conversation. Because in episode number 50, we talked with John Fustel about, how Artwork Archive began, how you guys, had this great idea and founded Artwork Archive and how it's helping artists. So if you want to listen to the story of how Artwork Archive began, go back and check out in the archives of the podcast, episode number 50. It's a great conversation that I had with John. So now this has been like a year and a half after or so, and I'm here with Justin, and a lot of things have changed. One of the things about technology is I like to keep up with as much as I can too. I love technology, is that it continuously changes, and it has been very refreshing for me on this side to see Artwork Archive evolve over time, over the year and months, and get the updates and the enthusiasm behind those emails like, hey, we have a new thing that we're rolling out next week or, things like that. So in this episode, I want to focus more on the nitty gritty of Artwork Archive, less on the story, but more on the, how this product is helping us out as artists to manage your art career, and more than anything, as a time-saving tool, which is one of the main hurdles that artists have right now. Because, well, it seems like there's are not enough hours in the day, and every help that we can get to gain more hours in the business aspects of our career is more time that we, at the end of the day, we can spend in the studio making what we love. So I think you guys have a great product, service, and we want to talk about that. But before we kind of dabble into that conversation, Justin, why don't you tell us just a bit about yourself, where you grew up, how you ended up in, with Artwork Archive, and kind of what is it that you do there?
Okay, well, both John and I are the founders. This was actually John's brainchild, as you heard in that kind of initial story episode. This is something that he built for his mother, who at the time was suffering from a lot of the things many artists suffer from. She just lost a hard drive. There wasn't really any applications out there that would serve the needs of kind of a modern day artist looking to organize and manage all aspects of their career. So, John started the initial building of it. I teamed up with him because we were working together at another company. I had a small little gallery wall at one of the bars I'm associated with, and had worked a lot in the nonprofit community involving arts and other various projects. And both of us, I think, initially shared that same passion of, you mentioned technology. Mm-hmm. We both love the idea of leveraging technology to simplify people's lives. And we both absolutely have a love for artists and collectors. John tends to be more on the artist side. I tend to be more on the collector side. But at our core, we love this idea of dispelling the myth of the starving artist and helping artists make a living doing what they love. And most of my artist friends were invoicing people on Post-its or not knowing where half their stuff was at any given time or who they sold to when. And, I think that's something a lot of people can identify with, especially creatives. So we wanted to create something that could help change that. Most of my background has been in technology, and I've worked as the managing director of an international organization before. So I've got some corporate, some startup, and a healthy blend of nonprofit stuff that I think is made for a good combination in getting this off the ground and help turning it into a sustainable company that's now used by artists and collectors all over the world.
Fantastic. Now, for those of our friends who have no idea what Artwork Archive is, maybe we have some of the Art Next Level friends here who maybe started following the podcast in episode 51.
All right.
Right after John's episode. So tell us briefly, what is Artwork Archive?
So, at its root, it's an inventory management system. And I know that doesn't sound very sexy, but as I get more into this, hopefully people will find it very appealing. So right. It is an online resource that helps artists get organized and stay organized, save time, and manage their careers with confidence. We really put out a comprehensive set of tools that has the main goal of arming you with what you need to be successful creating. But as I said, at its core, it's an inventory management system. So first and foremost, it exists to help you get your pieces organized, get your contacts organized, get your sales organized, all those things that a lot of people take for granted. And, you had talked about the saving time aspect, and I know we're going to get into some of the nitty-gritty of that. But with any new tool, there is an investment of time. No matter how easy we try to make it, there is an investment of time. But our hope, and what I think has been proven out over the last 7 years, is time and time again, people find it to be a very worthwhile investment of their time. Because even when you have a very small portion of information in the system, you can already start reaping the benefits. And because we've got about 90% retention over the 7 years we've been in business of our users, I think it's working out. And then, the other thing is you talk about technological evolution and consistently improving the product. I think one of the things we pride ourselves in when we're not, beating ourselves up or pushing ourselves to go faster is constant evolution of the product driven by user feedback. And I think that's one of the big things that differentiate us is that every single person in the company is required to work at least 30 minutes of customer service a day. everybody understands and interacts with artists, understands the needs. And that really helps inform the decisions we make on the product side, because we don't build things in a vacuum. The feature releases you see aren't, hey, we thought this would be a really neat idea. It's, I'm sitting at the counter at the Plein Air Festival with 5 plein air artists and the head of the American Impressionist Society telling me that, man, it would be great if we could build X. And then we'll sit and just sketch it out for them, work it together. And if we make the determination that the majority of our artists will benefit from it, that's going in the product. And that's kind of been a successful strategy for us over the years, and one that continues to drive improvement.
No, that's fabulous. And earlier you mentioned about, a lot of your friends, when this kind of idea of starting Artwork Archive began, a lot of your friends kind of, were having a hard time, like finding their files, keeping up of who has what, who sold to what. And so I was one of them myself. I raised my hand right away. I may not have been your friend back then, but that was me. And now that I do a lot of public speaking and I talk to groups and so forth, and as you know, I'm a big advocate of Artwork Archive. I always ask the crowds, and I ask, if you had to put a solo show and you had 20 pieces in the show, how long it would take you, for me as a gallery, how long would it take you to send me the information on all the pieces with all the thumbnails of the artwork, captions of everything, labels, and a consignment report, And so I asked, the crowd to start telling me how long it would take me. It varies from 3 hours, 2 hours, maybe all day. And, it's very, very, very interesting to see, because that's how long it takes when you have a lot of work in various places and you have to gather all that information. And then that's when I bring in, say, well, do you know that with Artwork Archive, you can do that in 10 minutes.
Well, and with, it's so funny, because that's one thing that almost everyone can relate to, right? I mean, whether you're doing your own solo show or whether you've been invited to an art fair or a gallery or an exhibit, those are things pretty much every artist runs into at some point in their career. And some people, once you get into art fair season or show season, that can really be a major time suck. And, you've got 2 enemies. One is, where the heck is all this stuff?
Right.
And then the other part of it is, okay, I've got it. What's the best way to present this? And I think there's definitely a time-saving aspect to knowing where everything is and having it be a finger, just a mouse click away. That's really helpful. But I also think from a presentation side, the galleries on the other end or the showrunner on the other end, whoever is the recipient, when they're getting that stuff, it's so amazing how often we get the comments from gallery owners, from people that run art fairs saying, hey, can you introduce this to some of our artists that are submitting, because we really prefer to receive our submissions this way. So they're liking the output too. But I think from a time-saving standpoint, there is no question. Every one of us can relate to that kind of, you think you've got that one junk drawer, but then you realize things are in 5 or 6 different places and you don't remember where any of it is. And it's really hard to put it together, especially at the last minute.
Right. And we live in a digital age where technology changes quickly. Your computer that you bought, just 3 years ago, pretty quickly might be getting old and slow, and then you get a new computer, and just the hassle of transferring all the files and figuring out where everything is. But now having it all kind of in the cloud gives you access. Even in my phone, sometimes if I'm in an opening or something and I need to refer to a piece that I may need the sizes or anything, I can, of course, go to my website, but in Artwork Archive, I have the in-depth information that is not available to the public.
Well, and the other thing we haven't talked about, you talk about some of the new features.
Let's do that. Let's talk about what's new.
Well, this is just like a directly related to what you just said. So we had someone that was, they were saying, you know what? I go around, I'm meeting new gallerists, I'm meeting new people, and sometimes I'm sitting with clients and I just I don't want to lug my laptop around. So we basically created a presentation mode that if you're on your mobile device and you want to show people something from a particular collection, an individual piece, or just scroll through your main portfolio, this allows you to do that and just fingering through it on an iPad or an iPhone. And it makes it really easy to get that kind of portable presentation in the palm of your hand with your mobile device without having to lug around the laptop. So, while we have very consciously chosen not to have a native mobile app. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that is because while it is great and does add some additional benefits, we built Artwork Archive on what's called a response platform, which is optimized to work on devices of any size. Right. And the advantage that gives us is we never have to wait for the iStore or Play Store or anything like that to upgrade or update. There's never the idea of your software getting out of date or anything like that, or having to do an update. It is just always the most recent stuff and your most recent information at your fingertips. And as you say, if your computer dies or your phone dies or anything like that, all you're doing is logging in and everything is there right where you left it. And I think that was a big reason why we created this, is because every one of us has lost a hard drive or a file at some time, and we just never wanted anybody to have to go through that again.
That is cool. So let's talk a little bit about some of those features that you mentioned. Presentation mode in the phone. I had not tried that before. That is so cool. So that's new for me. I did not know you could do that.
And Steve, one of the things we clearly need to do better is be better communicators on some of the stuff we do, because oftentimes we're a little sneaky. We'll throw it in there before we're ready to talk about it, just to see how things go.
Right.
But most of the time we're sending out updates. I think you had mentioned, before when we were talking, the new reminder system.
Yes.
And, you talk about saving time. This is the thing that was actually born out of this Plein Air Festival we were at. And we had a lot of artists coming up to us saying, hey, I'm entering a lot of shows. It's really hard. Like, it's great that you're helping me track my pieces, but it would be even better if I could also know, when do I have to submit that? When's the deadline? When do I have to retrieve that piece? So we started to have all these things that artists needed to remember on a regular basis. So that's how it first started. And then what happened was, as we talked to artists and art professionals around the country like yourself, the topic started coming up of really doing good customer management. Meaning, if you've got a client that you've done a commission for, or if you tell someone you're going to follow up with them when your new series is out, why not arm you with the tools to simply put a little reminder, talk to my client Tony about XYZ on this date, and then just forget about it and let the system do the thinking so you don't have to. So the new reminder system is really built to help you improve your ability to keep in touch with key clients, key relationships, as well as remembering all those relevant details like show submissions, deadlines. Let's say you're applying for a grant and there's an application date, all of those things, as well as the notes that go with them. And you can sync it with your calendar if you want to. And you also get an email a week before it's due, just with a little friendly reminder to kind of prod you along.
I see.
We are all, like, everyone is busy. And, artists especially, you have to be a marketer, an entrepreneur, a business, you have to wear so many different hats, and anything we can do to kind of simplify that, we strive to do.
Great. No, that's wonderful. So, what's another new feature that might be out there that you want to share with our audience?
Well, I think there's been a pretty big revamp on the just user interface in general. So getting work into the system is easier than ever. I think the reporting system, which, was okay before, is one of those things where we've really set our sights on making a lot of improvements this year. So our portfolio pages, our inventory reports, pricing sheets, basically any output in the system, we're really trying to sharpen up. So those have gotten a lot tighter. We're going to have a release in the next month or two, which will make that even more consolidated. I'll kind of give you a sneak peek of one of the biggest things we're most excited about that we really haven't announced to anybody. So John is.
I won't tell anyone. Don't worry.
Yes. John will be shaking his head at me, but this is a good way to light a fire under our butts too. So one of the things that we've done traditionally is you can, for an individual piece, a contact or a location, associate additional documents. So let's say you have a relationship with a gallery, you can upload your contract with that gallery. Let's say you have a commission contract with an individual, you can upload that contract and associate it with that individual. Let's say you got some press for a particular piece or one of your works, or it appeared in a magazine, you can scan that, upload it, and associate it. One thing that we have not done before is we've got artists that have, like, think of all the documents you've got to send out on a regular basis. You've got your statement, your bio, your CV, all of these things that pretty much all artists have to maintain and communicate on a regular basis. What we're building is not only a way to keep all those other additional documents I mentioned, but your personal documents as a professional artist. So that way, if someone asks you for your bio, your statement, your CV, whatever version of the CV you want, you have those things at your fingertips too. And we're building in this share module that is easy for you to not only communicate your inventory report, your portfolio, but those professional documents as well.
Great. So for example, if I'm doing the consignment report, let's say, typically when I'm going to the gallery and I drop off the artwork, I go to Artwork Archive, check the pieces that go to the show, print the consignment. So do you mean that I will be able to, let's say, add the bio and other documents along with the same PDF?
Sure. Yeah. So what's happening right now is we're seeing a lot more galleries for shows and things like that. Or we had a couple artists the other day reach out and say, you know what, I'm able to send them my inventory report, but they're also asking me for my bio, or they're asking me for my CV.
Exactly.
Is it possible for me to do that through Artwork Archive? And it's come up enough in the last few years that we just decided to facilitate that. And we do have a lot of artists that apply for residencies or grants or things like that. And instead of worrying about where the heck you put those applications or forms or anything like that, we want to be the central repository for everything that relates to your career. So this is just yet another place to kind of simplify that.
That is very smart, because, for example, I use Evernote, and that's where I, drop my documents and things like that. But it would be great if it will, everything that's associated with my art career will be in the same place. So, and specifically the ability to be able to associate a document with a specific work of art, which is something I cannot do in Evernote because it's just like a drawer system, right? You just create a note in a notebook and just drop it in. You can search for things, but oftentimes you forget how you save things, or what name you gave them, especially years from now. But if certain documents could be associated with a certain piece, or a certain show, that would be really awesome. I think that's a pretty smart.
Well, yeah, and it's so I'm a huge user of Evernote. I love it, but the reason why I think this is powerful is it's relational. So you never have to worry about, like, Evernote kind of has that. Yes, you can use notebooks, but there's kind of that general storage principle. This is directly associated with, your professional documents are in your professional documents folder. Your piece related stuff, anything, you're going to be able to get to whatever you need to with no more than 2 clicks of a button. And it's just going to dramatically simplify the kind of organizational process that goes along with it.
I see. What is the method in which you guys decide, for example, as you get all this feedback and things that come in and ideas, some ideas are great, others are maybe off the wall, others are not related to. So how do you decide, what is your mission and what you are all about, in which you can filter, what idea is good to adopt versus which one is not us, is not what we do?
Well, so the mission becomes the litmus test for all of this. So our guiding principle is helping artists make a living doing what they love. So, and that's pretty broad, right? So when we get feedback all the time. And as I said, everyone is talking to customers and doing customer support. So when we have our product meeting each week, we have a discussion on a lot of the things that bubble up. And it's no surprise that the majority of the stuff tends to be fairly similar. So when we identify something that we feel will benefit 80% of our users, it is typically something that we will do. because we have a finite amount of time, money, and resources, we're always pretty thoughtful about that. And there's this constant battle between ease of use and functionality. So just because we can do something doesn't mean we should do something. And in our early days, that was always a struggle because we want to make everyone happy, right?
Right.
That, like, just because, it's only 5% of the people asking about a particular thing doesn't mean it's not a great idea. But to be true to our, audience and to continue being able to offer the level of service we do, we try to be really thoughtful and tick the two most important check boxes is, does it add value to at least 80% of our audience? And does it not, like, making sure it doesn't negatively impact the ease of use of the site? Because this stuff, artists have just so much to do. They don't want to be sitting behind a computer. So we want to make sure that this is as simple as possible. So we have these meetings called above and below the line, where we will throw the 10 most popular requests, and then we will just simply put them on Post-its, draw a line, and the ones that are above the line we execute on, and the ones that are below the line we don't. And then we have kind of a wish list of things we want to do eventually. But the big changes that are coming in the next few months are all born out of user requests and users informing what they'd like to see transition for the site.
Gotcha. And actually, I came to the interview with my own wish list.
All right. So this is actually a trap.
There you go. I think you know who to tell the. You know some people there, right?
Yes, I do. I can pass it on.
No, one of the things that I would love, and I don't know if other artists have shared that too, but is if we had a plugin for WordPress where I wouldn't have to plug in all the information twice. So I just plug in my WordPress to artwork archive.
All right. Now you're forcing me to tell you something that I had a discussion with John before this. So here's our biggest announcement. Like our biggest announcement is our next big addition is going to be integrations.
Wow.
So we are currently working on an integration. So we're currently working on a general integration. We don't like the idea of artists having to enter things in a bunch of different places. If you're already putting your inventory on our site, why not be able to simplify the display of those things on other sites?
Right.
So we are currently, have been for the last month plus, working on integrations for WordPress, for Wix, for Squarespace, for basically the major platforms. Right. And our first attempt at this is going to be kind of a general embed. So basically, we're going to be able to allow artists to display or enable artists to display their artwork archive kind of portfolio with no branding of artwork archive in the platform of their choice.
And are you talking about the public page?
Well, and I use the word profile because that's kind of our analogy. We never say that we have a website because we look at the public profile as kind of an addition or complementary marketing platform for our artists. So, the biggest question we get on the public profile page is it like a website? And how I like to respond to this is, while we do actively promote our artists, while many of our artists have been discovered on their public profile pages, we do not look at it. We're not a Saatchi. We're not a Van Gogh. We're not an online gallery. The public profile is meant for additional exposure and a big SEO boost for your existing web presence, because you can plug in your website, your Facebook profile, your link, anything you want, and it all links back to that. And because of our reputation as a site, it's a trusted legacy source, so you're getting a lot of benefit from that. So when I mention public profile in relation to the integration, it is basically, how works are displayed on that and how you could see your portfolio plus individual works and details and size and price and all that stuff. We will basically be creating kind of a gallery module that you'll be able to slip into whatever platform you're using. So think of it as You know how YouTube provides an embed code
Right.
that you can embed a YouTube video no matter what site you're using? This is going to be very similar in concept where you'll be able to embed it into your site. So imagine being able to embed a gallery that just happens to not have any artwork archive branding on it.
Right, right. That is fascinating. That is pretty cool. That just made my day.
That's great. I'm glad.
Because
This was one of those things I wasn't going to announce today just because we like to get a little further down the road before we start talking about it, but I'm comfortable sharing it just between the two of us.
that's right. We'll beep out of the episode. Beep.
Yes.
Nah, just kidding, man. No, thank you so much, for sharing that with the Art Next Level, with our audience, with our friends here, because it's that's why we are taking a whole episode to talk about Artwork Archive, and to have you guys come in twice, first John and now you, and because we believe this is really important. We believe this is something that adds so much value to the art career. It's not an episode promoting something that is you guys are not paying me for the episode or anything like that. It's a true invitation to give us an insight of what's happening behind Artwork Archive, because here in the Art Next Level, I believe this is really something that is changing artists' lives and is providing artists more time that they can invest in their studio, is providing the tools that we need as artists to manage our career. So, I really want to thank you for sharing those insights, maybe for the first time here in public, because these are really cool things, and you guys are passionate about what you do. It shows in the way you run the company, the way you present it, the way the accessibility that you give to artists to provide feedback, and that shows, and how much you care about what we are doing. So I just want to say a quick thank you for that.
No, we love it. It's such a luxury to wake up and work with people you really like, doing stuff you really love.
Right. Well, there's another thing that I want to talk about briefly on one of the features, which is the sales tab, which is so important to the sales tab, where you can go and see the history of all your sales. And another thing that I love too is that it has an actions button where you can view the work, you can edit, you can invoice it directly from here. You can create your invoice. Tell us a little bit about this part, the sales part, because I think this is one of those things that will be really interesting for artists to hear about.
Sure. So one of the most important things, I think, as you grow is, you might think you can remember, in the last few weeks who you sold to and roughly what the cost was. But over time, as your career grows, that becomes really difficult. So, if you're someone like a commission artist, it's really important to be able to refer back to see who bought what. Because let's say, so-and-so bought your last 3 horse paintings and you're about to do another horse painting. It makes it easier for you to record who did that, what they bought, and use it as a reference. Right. As far as the recording of the sales go, you can basically record all the relevant data on the date you sold, where you sold it from, if it was through a gallery, who you sold it to, what the amount was. I think the invoice, being able to put a professional invoice across the table to someone not only helps you as an artist look more professional, but I think it gives the peace of mind to the customer that this is a genuine, they're dealing with a genuine professional. And which is why we also created the certificate of authenticity as well. Exactly. Because a lot of people like that as additional proof that this is, certified by the artist. So that's another report that people can click. I think on the sales side, one of the things we've been toying with is, one, we want to do a better job at recording costs that are relevant to that particular piece. So right now, we enable you to put in your net gain. Mm-hmm. What we don't do is give you the ability to go really detailed on the costs that went into it. So for example, let's say you created a piece and we can record the shipping, we can record the tax and that type of stuff, but we don't have fields for frame cost, for, any of the other additional, if you're mixed media artist, maybe you bought, goods that went into the, supplies that went into the article. So we are talking about figuring out a better way to do a little more detailed expense reporting, because what happens is anytime we get closer to tax season, we are able to give really comprehensive sales reports that are great for accounting, but there's no question we get a lot of requests from people that say, man, I would love for you to be able to track my expenses too. So I'm not making any promises on that one. It's definitely on our radar, and definitely something that you guys will see some significant improvements. We don't have direct integration with QuickBooks right now, but we do have a direct export that you can import into QuickBooks. So we're talking about maybe doing a direct, integration with QuickBooks, because that seems to be a tool a lot of artists are using. But in general, sales is just one of those things that we've had pretty much from the beginning, because it is so critical to record that information for tax purposes, for client management purposes, and how else are you going to know what you're making? I mean, there's, it's really good to, especially when you're doing it, as you start getting representation, which galleries are the most performant for you? Which areas, which regions? I think, is Jordan Scott one of your buddies?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's from Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jordan's someone who came onto the site a couple years back, and, his aha moment was the peace of mind that comes with looking at his insights thing. When he looks at his locations page and sees all the red dots where he has location, he can see which places are selling the most for him. He can see where he's the most popular.
Right. Exactly.
And I think that's been something that's kind of dramatically improved his own career kind of awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is very valuable information, valuable insights, that you can look at any time. You can do it once a month, once a year, once every week. It's up to you, but it's all there. You don't have to search and dig for that information. That's awesome.
Right.
Now, there's one last thing, Justin, because I know time's running out, and I think we have provided a lot of insight on what Artwork Archive is all about, but probably for some of our friends who are listening, like, okay, this is awesome, this is great, but how much is this going to cost me? The price thing. And something that I really admire about you guys is that you have made it so affordable for the artists, and for all what you offered, it is amazingly accessible. So tell me a little bit about the price structure as it is as of now. Of course, that may change, it depends when you're listening to this podcast, but as of now, which is November 2017, what's that?
Yeah, so we actually just did one of our first price changes in the history of the company recently. And a lot of the reason for that was, just keeping up with times. There's been so many advancements to the program, and some of the tiers were priced the same thing as they were 7 years ago. So while we did just do a price change, as you said, our goal is to make this accessible to artists of any age and any stage. So we do everything we can to make this affordable and remain one of the most affordable related to the competition. So our intro program, which is the apprentice tier, has a 100-piece limit and is basically $6 a month ongoing. And that is no matter what upgrades, no matter what happens. One of the policies we've always had is once you lock in a price, it never changes. So customers that we've had for 7 years still have the same price that they did back then, no matter what has changed in the product. Our next tier up, which is probably one of our most popular tiers, which is the professional tier, is 500-piece limit. And these have some other feature differentiations, but I'm happy to get into details on that. But the professional plan is typically our most commonly used plan, and it is $12 a month. We introduced a plan called the Master Plan because we've got a number of artists that are a little later stage in their career and have assistants and needed to have multiple people accessing the site.
Okay.
And right now that tier, I believe, is low 20s per month. But all of those include, the professional and the master have the document storage, the import support, the public profile, the daily backups, all of the advanced security and things like that. The only real differences in the apprentice and the professional are the piece count, but we find that most artists are under that 500 piece count, so this tends to be the plan for them. We're toying with the idea of making another tier that would fall somewhere between professional and master, but are still doing some discussion about that.
Great. Well, I mean, those prices are unbelievable. I mean, I think that makes it absolutely affordable, and that is absolutely awesome that you guys are able to, to help in that way too. Not only with the product that you're providing, the help that you're providing, the resources, but also with the price point that I think makes it almost a no-brainer. When you think about the hours that you spend versus, the hours that you can save, it just becomes a no-brainer, at least in my mind. So
if you're doing the time management calculations, we think it's a solid value. And if I'm not mistaken, your audience also has, an additional discount, which is not available to the public. So that's something they can also seek out through you, and that makes it even more affordable.
Right. Awesome. Well, Justin, with this, I think I want to close the conversation. I think you have given us a lot of insight, a lot of what's coming soon, and that is pretty exciting news. I want to thank you again for taking your time to be in the podcast today. Thank you again for all you do. Please give a big hello to everyone there at Artwork Archive. We know what you guys do, and we hope our friends here at the Art Next Level can check it out. And if they're already members of the Artwork Archive, tell another friend. Don't keep that to yourself. Tell another artist as well. And if you are new to it, of course, check it out. Tell us the websites. Where can our friends find you?
We are at artworkarchive.com. So awesome. They can come there. And I really appreciate the opportunity, Sergio, and appreciate what you do for the artist community.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Likewise.
All right.
Thanks again. We'll see you later. And thank you. And we'll see you at the next level.
All right. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Check out our website at www.theartistnextlevel.com, where you will find our podcast library, learn about our upcoming webinars, find resources relevant to your career, and much more. Thanks for listening to today's podcast, and we'll see you at the next level.